Welcome to the hotline for today, Thursday, the 22nd December, 2022. Good to have you with us. We know you have choices. We're very happy when you come here and very, very happy when you do find reasons to stay. And I so love this time of the year. I just love it. It sort of brings out the little girl in me. The beautiful times we had in the country at this time when Christmas grass start grow, Fifi start come up, and we a pick Fifi and a blow. We get such beautiful times. And then we used to have those balloon things in the shops that you would go and you would pay to try and pluck the largest balloon. They'd mostly come at Christmas. It was just a great time. So wherever you are and whatever your circumstances, make it a time of merriment. This is the hotline. And as we come down to the time of Christmas, I note there is still some disquiet, some angst among public sector workers. The Gleaner this morning headlines: payday peeve, salary delay drags on for South Central nurses, and Dr. Nigel Clark expresses regret at ministry as ministry whittles down backlog. And it's just amazing to me listening to the finance minister, who's told us that there were a couple entities whose payroll system can't even use the can't be remodeled so as to effect the policy directive and the agreement with the public sector workers. So antiquated the system must be, so out of touch, so static, that is going to need a whole new system to bring that system into being compatible, being movable, being changeable, with a number of things being put in. And frankly, when I think about some of the workers, and the anxiety they face, I get it. Because sometimes, and particularly this time of the year, you really look forward to buying an extra piece of something. Even if not for a family, if you don't have a large family. Just for you. And such has been our lives for the last however number of years, that as you get the money, so it gone. It gone, and you're not getting more because of inflation. Prices have gone up. You cannot pick up anything much in the supermarket these days without hearing some big money call out to you. And on top of that, when you don't have the money reflecting in your account when you expect it to, it is a demotivating thing. And I've wondered to myself why, in the process of the restructuring, which is absolutely necessary, and for which Dr. Nigel Clark has to be commended, for somebody who has the balls to do something that should have been done a long time ago. When you think of the system that he explains that we have, how we could have a public sector system functioning in this way, I do not understand. But part of what I still don't understand is why we didn't have the payroll system sort of tested before now, so we could understand the weaknesses in the system and whether it is going to be compatible with the policy change that is necessary, so that we don't have the sorts of frenzied approach that we've had in recent days. The good of this reform is not lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on anybody. But it doesn't mean that there should be inconveniences for good to come. We get too used to that kind of thing. And I hope that by the end of today, we can get, certainly up to the end of news time yesterday, we'd heard from the Minister of Finance that it was only one of 52 ministries, departments and agencies, which was at the time awaiting clearance for the Accountant General Department to disburse salaries to the institution. So perhaps by now, that has already happened. I think it will all redound to the good of us, but people will not forget. And then the other thing is that sometimes where you have standing orders on your account and you have outgoings with interest rates and different penalties that can apply, a late payment, even by a day into the account, depending on the contract, that will become activated with the lateness. You can end up paying for the setback. And I think those things, as I understand, they were understood, and it was really an attempt to get the arrears paid before Christmas, an overly ambitious desire on the top of an antiquated system that has caused this payday peeve, as the Gleaner calls it. I certainly would love to hear from public sector workers, those who have been paid, what the amounts look like in comparison to what one would normally get, and those who've not yet got paid. Your own thoughts, communication as to when you will. But something is fundamentally wrong where we have a country with a public sector with over 325 different scales and 185 allowances. The system is built with all sorts of discretion depending on the group that one is talking about. It cannot operate like that. And I think it is with that recognition in mind why this sort of restructuring has been on the cards for a little while. But some of the teething pains that we have, we need not have them. And I hope for the workers who are awaiting the payment that the payments will come, certainly by the end of today. Because I get not only the great inconvenience, but it means that some people will have nothing for this Christmas holiday if the money doesn't get to their account. I hear our lead story in the headlines that it appears the Prime Minister is considering another state of emergency, or the imposition of another state of emergency. I think by now you know my views. Do what you must, Prime Minister. Do what you think you must. Because nothing is normal about this place. Nothing is normal about it. I saw the news of the pastor who was shot near his gate in a vehicle and who's later succumbed to his injuries. Yeah, Pastor Lewis. And the reaction of members of the church community, understandably so. And his fate is like so many others of us on a daily basis in the country. I heard the Prime Minister talking about the intelligence that is coming in about literally highway robbery that men are planning for this season, couple of which have already taken place, on top of all else that is going on. So if anybody out there think it's peace and safety in this country, and the executive doesn't have a responsibility in the system of government that we have, uno make a sad mistake. Do what you must, Prime Minister. As you said the other day, Radam. Whatever Radam means, as far as me concerned, meaning drop the state of emergency if you feel you must, based on what the security forces are telling you. And it is clear to me what they must be telling you because of the lawlessness that is unleashed on the land. I won't be much longer this morning because the programs are so full. We have advertisements and we have all different things. The last thing I will tell you this morning is, you know we appreciate you. You know we love you. You know we thank you. We know it's been a very difficult time. I mean, certainly when I get to this time of the year, honestly, I was saying to DT this morning, it's like your tongue literally long out of your mouth, just gasping for air, because you just literally run a marathon with the body, and you come down to this time and you just need a breather. And so many of you have run marathons for life for all different reasons, some of them seen, some unseen. And we maintain as close relationship as we can with you, the listeners, especially the elderly, who we see as particularly vulnerable. You know my soft spot for the elderly, having grown up in a yard where my granny, who lived to be pretty old, beautiful grey hair that I just love to comb, the smell of it, love to see when she say her head a hotter and she take out her tie head and she sop her head with alcohol. And just the beauty of everything about it. One becomes extremely vulnerable when one is older, which is why one requires care. And sometimes there are not many people around to care for the elderly. And for whatever reason, those of us who can need to try and do that. So tomorrow on this program, we will be sharing with you, the elderly, a number of care packages. We don't have a lot. I was saying to Kim, I need a full team. I need a full organizing team around me every year. Somebody to live in my head. When you find the idea, just run with it and just tell me how it's supposed to go a week or so before, so we can do what God has empowered us to do, because we can and because others can't. So we have about 50 baskets, Kimberly. 50 care packages plus a couple others. The Joan Duncan Foundation, JMMB, thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you so much to Food for the Poor. Thank you so much to a couple individuals whose name we will give very shortly. And we invite others today to make it broader, to make it bigger. The reason we didn't say it before is because we know we're always going to have more mouths than we can feed. Yeah, but we believe that when we go with our 5 loaves and the 2 fish, that they're going to multiply. And we believe when we put the pot on fire, it is going to be filled, because there are a lot of people out there. So we invite you, the first 50 of you who come here tomorrow, not only to collect a goodie basket, but to stay with us as you did last year and to enrich the program as you enrich it daily by calling us, by listening. Some of you not calling. We look forward to having your company as we try as much as is possible to impart to you the spirit of Christmas. So come on out in the yard. Yeah, I certainly wanted a nice cook station. I wanted a station, and this is I'm putting out in the universe now. Me never know if my body could have managed it. Because trust me, this year has been rough. But I wanted a nice cook station where I could be cooking for the elderly people who come. And we could share on the program. For whatever reason, we don't get the cook station yet, but I'm putting it out there. So if anybody plan to put up the cook station tomorrow with the requisite safety precautions and so forth, then let us know so we can get the food to put in the pot to cook for the people when they come. Yeah? And make sure, for those of you who wish to donate, who have not yet done so, just make sure that those who come, all who come, can get, as we wish for all of you. It's an absolutely great Christmas, and not ask that we do not forget the reason for the season. So stay with us, public sector workers. I'd love to hear from you where things are and any other matters you wish to call us to share on the hotline. Those are my thoughts. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you. 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615, and 1-888-991-2080. Let me come. There was a story on the front page of the Gleaner yesterday as well. Justice system let us down. Family of slain teen gutted as judges /11 years of killer's jail time. You know, one of the reasons I try to bring the court hearings live when they're on here is so that we can get a better appreciation of the principles underlying a lot of what goes on in the courts. So for the first time with the Clarendon murderer, we had the sentencing hearing streamed live by the court management division. And I brought that hearing live and explain as much as I could what was happening and why things were happening the way they were. And the presiding judge did a monumentally beautiful job in also explaining how he came to the sentence that he imposed, which, once it is murder, the sentence is life. So the issue becomes the number of years one is to spend before they're eligible for parole. And I think we must remember that justice is not only for the victim's family, but justice for the convict. So there are laws about what is to operate, what is the minimum starting point. Then we have the sentencing guidelines. Then we have other cases. And remember now that every single case that is decided from the court, when you pile it on to the cases before, they are used over and over by attorneys and by judges as a basis on which to sentence future convicts, or the basis on which to look into an appeal brought by a convict for sentence. So we cannot have something that is disproportionately high in the circumstances of the case. You cannot have it stand. So we have to, there's a lot that has to go on in terms of education. I completely understand the feeling of young Maisie's family. I completely understand it, but the court, and particularly the Court of Appeal, is not about feelings. is about principles of law. The feelings come in terms of assessing whether mitigating circumstances were looked at in a kind of way, but the issue of sentencing is calculated with such mathematical precision, and it has to be in line with the law. Yes, every time I see these things, I just think if we explain a little bit more, maybe it wouldn't soften the emotions. Maybe it wouldn't, because a loss of life is so final. And I think that's why when the Prime Minister said the other day that he's considering extending the mandatory minimum time for murder to 30 years. This is why those things become important. And why he said you cannot have illegal possession of firearm being mandatory minimum of 15 and murder having a starting point, a starting statutory minimum of 15. It don't make sense. And there are people who come to oppose it, but look at the sentiments of the people who turn around and complain about the justice system when the judges have to interpret the law as the law is. I'm coming to you now. 2178 morning. Hello?
Hello?
You're on the hotline. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Michelle. Morning. I'm a public sector worker.
Yes.
Yes, and
what do I call you?
Excuse me?
What do I call you?
Ronald,
yes.
Yes, I must tell you that my living condition, Michelle, is much worse this morning. It's much worse. I feel deceived, and I feel that my union was tricked into signing this thing. It's much worse. I don't even have much credit. My credit is going to finish, but
hold on a second.
I'm not a happy man this morning.
Hold on, let's get your number and call you back. Do you mind that?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Hold on, Ronald. Let's talk to him. Let's get his number quickly. 7615. Hello, morning.
Hello, good morning, Michelle.
Castro?
Hey, peace and love, man. One love. Every time.
It was so good to see you at Devon House the other day, Castro.
Yeah, man. I feel in whole night, me no sleep.
Oh.
The whole night, me no sleep.
I make you a nightmare.
Come in like me reach heaven.
Me give a nightmare, Castro. What a drama.
Man, this year I was so comfortable and pleasable that me just lie down and me say, it is nice another amongst good people, you know.
Can you spend the whole day with me, Castro?
The whole day with you, man. Even that, man, give thanks and praise, you know.
Yes, lovely.
Yes,
lovely.
Yeah. But anyway, I have a sad news to myself again, you know.
No, somebody not dead again.
Oh, God, man. My sister
Jesus,
dropped out,
have mercy. Every time you call me, somebody dead.
Somebody gone. But I tell you, say, I have a sister in Montego Bay, you know, and she dropped out, you know.
So what happened? She died of natural causes or what?
Yes, she's sick. She did sick, and time come, she just father said, well, she can't now make she take a pain no more and take her over.
But she was about how old?
She's about 70.
Pretty young in these days, you know, Castro. Pretty young.
Yeah, I say, come on, but
so sorry to hear.
Part of father work, you know.
And when last did you see her?
Well, sometime about a year I had her, so this year, you know, she come a funeral and so on.
I'm so sorry to hear.
Nevertheless, I went down there sometime last week. Yeah, and the funeral is the 4th, the 5th next month. Yeah, so.
Yes.
Just vibes, you know, man. I just want to say to the family, faith.
Yeah.
And value for them, just our daughter, them to just go and hold the faith, you know.
Yes.
And give thanks to
that's
the
all
Almighty.
I can do, yes.
Part of work, you know.
Absolutely.
Not true.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Nevertheless, I don't know how I go on if you will see me tomorrow, but if not, if you don't see me also,
Yes.
you're not sure. Yeah, man, for me, yeah,
Me know you come.
Eh? yeah, man. I try for me get up all right and Almighty have me up strong, see and we I go make a move. I mean, like when me come where you live, I stand up and look for you.
And that me know. When the people them come at the OB, them just stand up and look for me so.
I look for you, that's true, man. Some of them say, well, I never know she's sweet, you know. But
yeah.
I know you're sweet long time. That's not true, man.
Thank you. Take care. See you tomorrow, God
man,
willing.
Man, and happy Christmas and New Year and everything. You know, if we not get to see you again, man.
Yeah, man.
All the staff, I was big up to all the staff, you know. I mean, I beg you to tell him, to tell
DD?
Yeah, man, we tell DT, so I beg you play peace. I never will be something, man. But for what day, I'm not hearing a night bounce, man. I want to say big up to DT, too, man.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Never will be stuff.
Never will be, man. I'm all time. I'm a big friend, you know.
All right, thank you.
I'll do end and gone, eh? Enough love to him, family, them, and so on. Bless.
All right, take care. As he mentioned that as well, Russell Hammond, a long-standing figure in Westmoreland. And I went to Manning's, Russell, but I didn't call him Russell. Mr. Hammond. Still is Mr. Hammond. Mr. Hammond owned and still owns, well, it's probably now part of the estate. I'm not sure about the ownership, Hammond's Bakery. I cannot go to Savlamar without getting my Hammond's bread. And I learned Mr. Hammond was not well a couple weeks ago and spoke to Mr. Hammond's son came to Manning's. That's how I sort of knew and became, from a distance close, because he came to Manning's from Monroe for sixth form, Kevin. And Kevin got married to a friend of mine. So they now family friends. When I learned that he was unwell, I made contact with Avis. Imagine my absolute shock. Must be before last week or so when I saw a post by the health minister that Russell Hammond is dead. And his funeral was yesterday. I could not make it down to Westmoreland for the funeral. Couldn't make it. So my condolences to the family of Russell Hammond, a man who gave so much of his life to service to the people of Westmoreland. I know he tried several times to run for representational politics and didn't win that constituency, but he continued to do whatever he could, to uplift the people. 9268631. Hello?
Good morning.
Hi, welcome. Who is this?
I'm Enos.
Eh?
I'm Enos.
Enos?
Yeah.
Welcome.
First time on the year, anywhere.
Oh, it's good to have you.
Listening to this station from the baby until now.
Look at that.
And just getting Miss Emily. What a glorious morning and a blessed day.
For me too.
Yes, first time.
What brings you here for the first time, Enos?
To just tell you people at the talk show house, Happy Christmas when it comes, New Year when it comes, and all my neighbors and customers and friends and family. Happy Christmas, prosperous New Year when it comes. Especially to the Planka people them that I was living for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm living in Lilliput.
Yes.
Well, I'm coming down to your parish today.
Which one?
Westmoreland.
Nice. Niagara River.
No, somebody I get spliced down there tomorrow, so I have to come down from today.
Them I get what?
Splice.
Splice?
Yes.
Or that post-mortem?
No, they put things together, like getting married.
Oh, so you call it splice?
Splice was splice and giant.
Oh, that's what they call it, DT? Oh, Jesus, and look where my head gone. Father, forgive me.
Like that, yeah, but,
So you go down a wedding?
Yeah, my biggest daughter will get married today. One of my biggest daughter down here. First daughter down here.
Eh?
Yeah, and so she'll give it tomorrow.
She'll give it tomorrow?
Yeah, since I'm going to get married.
Mm-hmm. Then you have your suit and everything put on?
To go try them, I was trying to never wear it.
You never wear it yet?
I said, go try them, I don't know which one I'm going to wear it.
Oh.
My son, our brother, pick one. So I'm going to pick, never go with.
Then what about the shoes?
I'm bring it down from far out from the tongue, give me for Saturday. On Friday, rather.
And you never wear it yet?
It's I'll put on tomorrow.
Ah, Jesus, you must wear new shoes, go out, you know. Enos.
Mm-hmm.
You put sand in a bag in there if you stretch it?
Nah, man, I'm going to stretch him tonight, walk one down to the house.
Anyhow, that shoes they start burn your foot. I no pay attention shoes them give you, the shiny one.
No.
A clocks?
No, nothing too expensive because I'm not put your head too far in a basket if you can't take out it.
Yeah.
We don't name brand, no one knows I put that up though. Miss Emily, guess what? You see Earth? Who would that will come and concede? I fried how people are fight over Earth. Money will come and concede. Food will come and concede. We have to let it right as a go away.
I feel left it.
Right as so me not fuss about nothing. He said make it up Christmas man, I want sardine. Don't be talk about sardine, I sit right and I look for one 8 and bunch of banana and pick it up right. And if me can lick off 2 fingers off right and when I'm a cake and find one tin and mackerel and eat a Christmas man, me give thanks to
Absolutely.
Yeah, because me ain't come with no mackerel and me ain't come with no banana. But I'm going to up her and me see come and be a banana. Give thanks to all of your callers, them especially Mr. Coons. Boy, prime time every station, every time I listen for a program. Give thanks to him. If Lucy are passing your town tomorrow, I don't hope to see you.
Look for the rap head, Enos. Look for the rap head.
Look for the rap head?
Yeah.
You know, when I look at boy growing up, but mother, you don't tell me say I love Poco Church because I'm here.
No, don't get it twisted. It's not Poco, it's revivalist. You told me last week. It's revivalist. It's a big difference, she says.
I do call it.
No, better call it the right thing.
When I was a little boy, I was born in Kingston 2. I just say, I'll wrap up made a piece of cloth and go and let me tell them I jump. Who?
Goodbye. Thank you for the call. All the best at the wedding tomorrow.
DT, have a great day. Them take you make macaroni. Go on DT, go on the things. All of them take you. All man in white and man in black and man in brown.
Yeah.
For the station.
All right. Take care. Macaroni, take the break, macaroni. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you. 876-926-2178. I think I'm on toll free. You have that public sector worker? Ronald is not back yet. Ronald, we'll try and reconnect with you. We didn't get his number. Oh, I'm sorry. Walking shop. Why? Me no know, you tell me.
Well, me no see nothing good on here, you know. But me know say me rise up since morning and me eat my breakfast already.
What you had?
Yeah? Some boiled banana me eat me straight back.
What's straight back?
Pork.
Ah, Jesus. Then I pork you eat early morning, yeah?
Yeah, man, and me cut some bush callaloo in the yard, they stick it on the pot top, so me touch up the
How much pound of pork you eat?
Me no cook no whole eat, man. I want 25 pound of pork me take for my friend and have in a freezer. Me eat it piece, me not eat no whole eat.
Like how much so you eat though?
Me no a pound, me bag them up and put them in a pound. Me not eat no whole eat.
Then how much bag you cook?
Yeah, 1 bag, man, 1 pound. Me have the chocho and the bush callaloo.
Oh. Then about how much banana you eat?
Yeah?
Much banana?
You see, now I say me question, you know, my you know, say me crave me, no, man.
That's what I want to know.
You know, say me yam all 200 banana.
Then how much about one hand?
Yeah?
Much banana they on one hand?
So
Sometimes if I bottom hand, you can't just put the bottom hand alone. So sometimes the bottom hand have all 12 fingers.
So you cook about 24 finger banana this morning?
No, man. No, me say the bottom hand about 12 fingers.
Me know.
12 finger me cook.
12
finger.
12 finger?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much tojo?
I want to me just put pan in it, man. So I'm not telling you me did I bush callaloo.
Oh, so you eat 12 finger banana, 1 pound of pork, and bush callaloo?
No, me not eat half it pork. Me not eat half it.
You have half of it?
Yeah, man.
All of that gone down this morning?
Yes, man. I want a cup of dandelion tea.
My God. That is it for the day?
No. Me children in 1 o'clock, me have to go back down till the moment.
Like what so?
I go eat the balance of me, you know, me I go get, I go big, and girl I go gas station and then I go pick in my 3 sample bread for me.
Bread?
Yeah, man, sample bread.
So, where the salad then now?
Yeah?
You go eat any vegetable with any of that? Apart from the callaloo?
Yeah, man. No, man, I go eat no vegetable, no, man. I go use the callaloo, man, and sang with the bread, man.
You don't eat too much starch?
Yeah?
Too much sugar in the diet?
Too much sugar in the diet?
Yes.
Yeah.
The food turn into sugar, you know. Yes. The carbohydrate in the food turn into sugar in your body.
Yes.
So the whole heap of banana where you eat there, so when that done rub out in a sugar and the bread turn out in a sugar, you don't know that?
Yes, man, you know that, yes.
But what?
They take it out, they got doctor one time, you know, and they would put down nothing down in a me, you know, and he said, go buy one white soda, you know, and buy him, say, white soda, and buy me, say, you don't, that's play up back, you know.
White soda?
Yes, me.
Like cream soda? Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. I'm seeing a report, heard a bit of it this morning, but coming from LBC in the UK, British economy shrank more than previously thought this year, experts say, as recession looms. So the British economy contracted more than economists previously thought in July, August, and September, according to revised figures. And the Office of National Statistics, ONS, said today that UK's GDP shrank by 0.3% in the third quarter of the year, rather than the 0.2% as original analysis of the figures showed. That was down to lower output from manufacturers, builders, and electricity generators. And economists say the GDP also grew by less than previous estimates in the first half of the year. And I think, you see, when we read these things, I have somebody on Twitter here. Let me give some oxygen to his comments, asking me, every time you come a big up Nigel Clark, what is Nigel doing? Let me tell you something, listeners. There is none so blind as those who will never see. And every time I read these reports coming in, I don't read them in isolation of us. I read them to look at what is the possible impact that this will have on us. And this is why that signature line that Nigel got from the IMF, to put down in the back pocket. And it is becoming clearer. It's not a matter of if, but when it is, we will need it. Because of what is going on elsewhere and how money, the availability of money and the cost of money is going to go up to a point where a country that that has to borrow because of where we are in terms of the economy. If you're not looking for cheap and available money for which you qualify now, when the crunch starts, you cannot get any good cheap money out there to borrow to keep the systems turning over. So somehow no not take the time to understand, and no matter how much I come and I break it down, what you do is listen with your partisan political ear. But because I don't speak with a partisan political tongue, anyhow the compliments land, depending on the flavor of the day. That is how you're going to hear it from me. However you receive it, that is your problem. Yeah? This is exactly the finance minister this country needs at this time. 2178. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Shield.
Hi, who is this?
Harding man, that blind man from Hanover.
Yes, I hear your little grandson there. Morning,
Yes,
grandson.
Say good morning to Mrs. Shield.
Watch out.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Radio Jamaica. You know, you're on the radio. You want to talk to me?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I'm talking to your grandson.
Yes.
Where is he?
They're gone on the back.
Oh, he said good morning and gone. Yes.
You're speaking about Roslam, and you know we go together in one district in Hanover.
I didn't even know he grew in Hanover.
Yes, ma'am. He's born and grew in Hanover, a place called Content Milestone.
Wow.
And you know Ramble?
Yes.
Just below Ramble, going down the road before you get where you shake through there.
Yes.
You have a little road that turn on your left that it can take you back to work where they in that way he born and growing up.
Ah.
Right in my district, in my grandfather, they have a big shop here.
Yes.
I want to tell you about a couple months ago, you had a building burned down on there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. We go together. His first work was at the airport in Montego Bay. I even used to drive in car.
Boy, I tell you.
Hillman Hunter was his first car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. But I think he did win election this time with Mr. Golding. Mr. Golding win, you know.
No, I don't remember him ever winning that seat.
I used him anyway. Anyway, Mrs. Hill.
Yes.
You know, from last year, Christmas is the first time I ever know that you're still on the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Christmas Eve last year, I tried to get to you. I took out that get one of the package. No, Mr. Daniel would have thinking to have your hand on the phone.
No, Daniel. Daniel doing other things.
Even when Mrs.
Daniel saw the stone. Mm-hmm.
When Mrs. Combs, there up him, there try to call her, the phone ring, no answer.
But I can't put on any because I have people, I'm sure people will come to collect.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, how can I get to there tomorrow? I don't know. Anyway.
You work it out.
I will try and I wonder if you could send one to me.
I don't know if I can. I wouldn't promise that. And these things they need to get out and they need to be used quickly.
I know,
because things
I'm glad to hear you anyway, man. I'm glad to hear you. Like 1 year now, you know, Miss.
Look at that.
I don't really have a radio. January last year, it was a little banger. Me have a little Nokia banger. I wonder if anybody have one little Nokia banger could have given me one. I used to listen to radio.
Yes.
A little Nokia banger, the little fine point one.
Mm-hmm.
I can manage that one really well good, although I'm blind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I don't have, it just break down and I don't have no money for repair it.
Right. Where are you say again?
Just below you see, ma'am. I'm on the content the hill just before we reach to Bedrock Garden.
Oh.
Just below the cancer home.
Yes. All right. Hold on a second. Hold on. You here?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on. Kimberly, DT will take sound like him hung up. So it's just below you will see. What's going on with my computer now? Below you will see. All right. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Very interesting developments internationally with the Ukrainian president making it to Washington first since this onslaught started against the Ukrainians, but of such significance. And the U.S. has given so much more. So thank you. Thank you, President Biden, for that. And what a courageous man in Vladimir Zelensky. What a leader like none other. Yeah? 10 months now since this war and continuing. I think I'm on this toll free, right? I'm on 7615. Hello, 7615.
Hello, pleasant good morning, Miss Emily.
Hi, how do you do?
I'm giving God thanks this morning. How
Good.
are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
Who is this?
Marcia.
Yes, Miss Marcia.
Marcia, calling from Westmoreland. Just letting you know, I hear you. So you were misinformed about Mr. Hammond's funeral. It's today.
Oh, it is today?
Yes, he will be laid to rest today.
Ah,
It
that
wasn't
is
yesterday,
why.
it's today.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
That is why, now I get it. That's why Evie sent me the link.
Yes.
Oh,
today.
it is Thursday, December 22. I'm
Thursday,
mixing
December
my days.
22nd.
Thank you, and it's at 10 o'clock at St. George's Anglican, yes?
That's right.
Wow. Thank you so much, Miss
Yes.
Marcia.
Okay, Miss Emily. Have
Yes.
a Merry Christmas.
All
You and
right.
your family when it comes.
Thank you. God
A
bless you.
prosperous and blessed New Year.
Thank you so much.
To all you and the staff of RJR.
And to you and your family as well.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Thank you so much for that. Hi, morning.
Yes, pleasant good morning again.
Who is
Miss
this?
Emily?
Yes.
This is Cordell.
Yes, Cordell.
Yeah, I'm a vision impaired person.
Yes.
I'm calling to tell the RJ family Happy New Year, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year when it comes.
Yes.
Especially to Paul and Porter Jones. Francois has been gone. I've been listening to these people every morning. And you.
Yes.
Thank you. But I'm asking for somebody's help. There's a young lady in St. Anne's at the Mustard Seed. Her name is Shauna Gay Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
She would really like to speak to you about some problems she's having there.
St. Anne Mustard Seed?
Yes, her name is Shauna Gay Johnson. I have her number. I can give it to you.
Just hold on for me.
Okay.
Thank you for the call. How old are you, Cordell?
Tuesday, I was 48.
Right. So what happened? How did you become blind?
I was robbed and chopped up in Montego Bay, St. James.
Yeah?
Yes.
When
Presently, I'm sitting on the road begging because that is what I have to do to survive.
When was that incident?
2012, the 27th of the 10th month.
2012.
Yes. In Cambridge, St. James, I think maybe I've heard of that case. Maybe. I'm
No,
not sure.
I don't recall it. And as a result of that, you became blind?
Yes, they push and mash it in my eye.
Oh, Jesus.
And removing that ruptured eyeball, the lens in the right eye damaged.
So which eye was the thing pushed in?
The left eye.
Oh. So you don't lost sight in both of them?
Right. So I can't able to sustain myself nor my family.
Yes.
But I give God thanks because the good I used to do, although I have to be sit and begging, there's a lot of people who knew me before now, and they are helping me now.
So what did you do before this incident? What did you do for a living?
I was an armed security guard.
Yes.
And I used to refurbish computer, reformat them at smartphones.
Yes.
I would like wipe them clean and reload operating system and icons. More than even what they manufacture was placed on them.
Yes.
But presently I can't move 7 or 11 now because my sight is out.
Yes.
I had asked Jamaica Society for the Blind to assist me in assessing my computer skills because I did IT at undergrad.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that school.
Yes, you're right. In front of Taylor Hall.
No, not that undergrad. I know that one too, but not that one I'm talking. I'm talking the one in Montego Bay.
Ah.
On Dome Street.
Okay.
Right. I did IT there. So I'm computer literate, but not in the state of not having my sight.
Yeah.
So now I'm willing to learn all over again what Jamaica Society for the Blind is telling me that I have to find the money to fund myself to do that. So basically, I have to be just sitting and begging. I've been facing disrespect left, right, and center. But I just give God thanks that I am alive.
So how much is the money?
The money for the...
Yes.
I didn't really check it out because I don't have it, so I didn't really try to check it out because I realized that the people that I thought could help me, they are saying if I don't have the money to help myself, I will not be able to be helped. I was like, wow, what sort of country are we living in? Once you're disabled, the Jamaica Society for the Blind
no,
assist you as an adult.
No, because I know they help a lot of people in whatever ways they can. Sometimes
No, they help, but I'm saying in my situation,
yes,
I mean, helping me to access my computer skills. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like food-wise or clothes-wise.
Yeah.
Because the house I'm living in right now, they are the one who gave me a door because I attend the church.
Yeah.
The one on Barnett Street.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I attend that church. But God bless you. Thank you very much. See, I just received $100 talking to you.
Oh, you know it's 100.
No, the person just told me.
Oh.
I heard you always laughing at people and I was telling somebody.
I don't laugh at. I laugh with.
Okay.
only comrade me laugh off, you know. Only comrade Gardel.
No. I'm not saying you're making a fun of nobody, you know. I just like your jovialness.
Yes.
And even sometimes, remember the strong back drink?
Oh, God. The strong back tonic wine?
Yes. I listen to you every day.
You were listening to that. Brilliant.
Yes.
Did you try it?
No, I don't try nothing new. I'm a normally old school person. I'm not in for the new things.
You're boring.
I'm afraid of these things.
Boring.
I'm not sure of what's placed in these things. I can't read the labels. So I'm scared.
They tell me something.
Yes.
You eat banana chips?
Yes, I do. I do a lot.
Yes. You know why not banana chips?
Banana.
What else?
Sometimes they use salt, which I don't like.
But how do you know? How do you know what else is in it? You're not in the factory when I'm making it.
No, I'm talking before I was blind.
But even now.
Right.
Everything you eat when you cook. You don't know why.
That is true. I know.
So I will happily drink my Trang back.
No, I'm not saying you should not. I'm only saying I was really having a laugh.
I got
that
you.
Day because you were like, play one music for me then.
DT.
Yes. I was like, this lady is so funny.
I know.
I've never heard a radio host being so funny.
I know.
You're such a joy to us.
YOLO. YOLO, they say. You know what YOLO means? You only live once.
Day at a time.
You only live once, so we have to live the best.
Okay, full joy.
Yes, full joy. Hold on, Cordell. Hold on. Let's see if we can get your details and the details of Shauna Gay Johnson. Mustard seed in St. Anne.
Thank you very much, Miss Emily.
God bless you.
Have a wonderful Christmas.
Yes.
And a prosperous and lovely and laughable New Year.
Yes, so if I come down, where exactly are you positioned?
It's called Best Value Supermarket. That's where I'm sitting.
Outside Best Value Supermarket.
Right.
This is on which street?
Barnett Street.
On Barnett Street. Yes. I can bet Comrade will come and find you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard his voice one day passing here and I was like,
what?
I know that man. I heard him one day passing here and I was like, I know that man's voice. I've heard him on RJR all the time.
Yes. Comrade, next time ball out.
He was complaining about retirement the other day.
Yes. All he does is complain when he calls you.
Complain and more complain.
Yeah. You know him, Cardell.
Yeah, man, I've heard him every day.
He's a lovely guy.
Central.
East Central is about law.
Yeah, I know. I'm only saying. I've heard him and East Central from down here.
Yeah.
East Central is a law, man. Every time him call him, why you pick up the Constitution and all these things.
Thank you.
But one thing is a hard-working man. You're welcome, Miss Emily.
Yes.
Have a good day.
You have such a good spirit.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
God bless
beautiful to listen to it in spite of everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, hold on and talk to DT. Give him the information. This is the hotline, 9262178. Hello? Jesus. Go look for him. Listen to me now. Nobody call up him when him say, me know you go look for him.
No, but I know him well, you know.
Eh?
I know of his situation. Because I know I listen to the program every day. I don't talk, but I do what I have to do.
All right.
And because in call on him and in talk to you, and they go get double whopper this Christmas.
I may have seen that pan video in your hush puppy and your manga foot.
All right, so me have to go. The shoes ever come from Panama, me East St. Laurent. Me have to go put on that.
And put on a green socks for me.
A green what?
Make sure you wear green socks in the video.
You must lick your head. You must fall on and knock your head.
I read.
For the money, for the people them gift got delay. We go put on green on the people them who need it most, then gift got delay. This is so better than that, man. So better than that, man.
It's the payroll.
You try to put the people them gift together. We go put on green on make it got delay.
The payroll sort out, man.
No. Oh God.
Tell me something. You own any green clothes at all?
No, missy.
What about the grass in your yard?
It brown.
Can imagine. You spray it orange?
If me do what?
You not spray it orange?
No.
You should have.
No. So what?
Boy, me there watch. The system sorting out itself and have all kind of glitches and you're salivating about it.
Mental bread finance minister for go put the horse before the cat. But by the way, before me go there, so where you thank Uncle Biden for? To prolong a war?
How?
I don't love wickedness.
How is he prolonging the war?
Then I think the more weapon them pouring, the longer the war going last.
Oh really? So you must cave in?
So the more excuse your finance minister have when things go wrong in blame it on Ukraine. Because then can't call COVID there again. You understand me?
You think
prolong the war?
Hold on. Let me take a break from your nonsense and come back. Yes, Mr. Panamanian shoes. What is shoes name again? What brand shoes in him?
East St. Laurent.
Oh, whoa. East St. Laurent.
You don't know the brand?
Me hear about it, sir.
Miss Cook, you know it. Me stay with the bag.
Don't call me. Don't call me name in your business.
Me stay with the bag.
Not a prosperity, you know, depend me. You alone it depend.
When you out at jewels out
Jesus.
But they play Farmer Palmer when you come with the season. Now all them bag they have.
Where you watch me for? Where you watch what me have for?
You know what same brand bag you have, man.
You know what? You're a real informer.
Good. Me get 5 million from Desmond.
What me give her that for?
No, send they give much 500,000 for the person who inform and those who take the homeless person ablaze.
Yes.
From earlier this
all right,
year.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But that line you come with Russia is a Putin line, you know.
Miss Crooks.
You mustn't echo him sentiments. That's exactly what BBC report him as saying.
Miss Crooks, I am not echoing anybody's sentiments. What has happened from 1991, following the Soviet Union break up from 1991, when it was America around the world, but there are just certain things that there are certain red lines that you don't cross, and nobody now going to take it. From 1991, the agreement was, what James Baker, I think his name was not to, NATO would not expand 1 inch further. That's what he said. And we saw the expansion. 1997, Bill Clinton used. You understand? Madeleine Albright and Holbrook and hold them, push him.
You are so versed in European history.
To push him to expand and expand and expand. I am telling you, the man is not comfortable, and if I were in his position, I would not be comfortable as well. If NATO come in Ukraine, the missile then go and come in there. It takes 121 seconds from which part enough for the nuclear missile to lick Moscow. If you put it in Ukraine, it's going to take 10 seconds less. 10 seconds, a whole heap of time between life and death.
I don't know on what basis any agreement was formed for NATO not to expand.
They could not. Cuba
what
could
basis?
take the Russian missile in the 60s. It is the same thing. You cannot. I am just not in agreement with what the Russians did.
Yeah, but
at the same time, I cannot accept the American position to weaken Russia because they are challenging the rule-based system. That is what the defense minister said.
But you have to go back to first principles.
Lloyd Austin said our only goal, our main and only goal, is to weaken Russia.
But and what is Russia? What is that an offensive or a defensive position against Russia's own intention, which is to weaken Europe completely and to conquer the world? Isn't it a defensive posture?
Russia does not want to conquer Europe. Russia needs some security guarantees, and I think all of them could have sit down and discuss it. It never have to reach this. And what is happening is the people of Ukraine are punished. Not one missile, not one gunshot apart from the white man fire of America. Not one rocket now fire on the American North American continent.
I don't know through what lens you are really assessing this man Putin. He is beyond the pale of negotiating. Nobody sits at the table with him and walk away with any negotiated position.
Who's done with him so far?
Everybody has sat with him. Everybody sat with him and pleaded with him. Diplomacy and everything failed.
For what? For the war? About the war?
Absolutely about the war. Why on earth did he invade?
But Miss Crooks, him have him red line and them have them red lines.
No.
And if they are not budging, he's not going to budge up to December, up to last December. Him send a security thing to Europe, and then them refuse it.
But comrade,
he was Miss Crooks, let me respond. Even when the war started, he was negotiating.
Negotiating what?
Let me finish. He was negotiating with what I think Biden said, what the good not one under England name, Partygate. Biden said Partygate, the first that Partygate made to Ukraine was Biden sent him to tell Zelensky, said, do not negotiate as in now get no weapon.
But comrade, you're not free to rewrite the history of this war, you know. You need to explain to me what exactly Ukraine did that justified the intervention in Ukrainian territory by Russia to start, and what explains their continued presence, even if they felt that somehow there was some might in a territory close to them. Is that sufficient basis for them to have invaded the territory with a view to liberating people?
Yeah, ask me that. Ask Victoria Newland. When she said she spent $6 billion to change the government in Ukraine, 2014. Ask Victoria Newland. The Maidan, the Orange Revolution, not the Orange, that was before. The Maidan thing over there, 2014, when Russia has to go and go take out. Why my name? Yanukovych? Viktor Yanukovych. Ask Victoria Newland.
Listen.
You see, let me tell you what I want. You know me, I am a peacemaker. The same thing what Russia do in a Ukraine and America that support by supporting Ukraine weapon is the same thing Israel don't get to the Palestinians. It is the same thing. They annex and kill them and take away their land. Why is it wrong in Ukraine but it's right in Israel?
Nobody says it is right.
Nobody
says, and I said to you cannot come and simplify. You cannot come and simplify decades of war in a one sentence thing.
Yeah,
and expect. No, you can't do that. Even I have shied away. No,
that is what is causing the problem is because the world no level. So this is one support, that one and them have their veto power and them use it to them advantage. And that is why we can't have peace in this world.
This Israeli-Palestinian conflict goes back decades upon decades. I cannot even begin to understand no matter how much I read, and that is why I don't even comment on it. Yeah, because
that is why, because if you comment on it, the Jewish people them rich, and them probably stop you and argue and they say you're anti-Semitic. What right is right and wrong is wrong.
No, but you cannot comment on something you don't properly understand.
The same thing that Putin do in Ukraine And the same thing that anyhow because the farm government now. And the same thing that anyhow others have been doing down there. The one they want to come close to peace. You stack Rabin, then shot him because they never want peace. They didn't want peace, they assassinated him because he was going to sign a peace deal with Arafat. They assassinated Yitzhak Rabin, the closest one to peace. You know, whenever they did a couple years ago, by name Shimon Peres, he never really bad. You understand? The farmer, him never bad. The whole of them left Poland and go down there.
I cannot.
Don't take what the people them and kill them off. And the same thing, the whole my name is Jew, you know. This is one year I got America yesterday. One name, Zelensky. Him Jewish, you know.
And what?
Oh, it's the same thing. The Jews them do now to the Palestinians them down there.
All I say is I don't think certainly I don't understand it with comfortable depth to take any positions on it.
Me understand. Right is right and right. It is illegal under international law. And even under international law, they might kill the people them down there, they might take away them land. You pick them can't go to school, and the school is the Palestinians, you're going and bulldoze and blow up the school, and the people them have to pay. For you, for you mash up, demolish. Demolish.
Mm-hmm.
For you demolish them school and them house, you have to turn around and pay them. What an ugly crime. Jesus Christ, make you come back to Jamaica.
You have a minute. I have the DPP.
Have a Merry Christmas, you hear me?
But you're talking to me tomorrow, aren't you?
I am not. Remember, I said, I have to go look to the people, them, you know, me have a life, you know.
Uh-huh.
You understand me? So I want you to have a Merry Christmas, you and your family. But let me tell you something now. You see, Dr. Tufton, don't take no rice from him if I'm not Jasmine. Make sure he give you good rice. So anything you have to give poor people, if I'm not Jasmine, Miss Cooks, don't take it. Nobody take it, Miss Cooks. No, for God Almighty sake, if Tufton give you no rice, I don't know, Jasmine, not take it. We want good rice, Dr. Tufton, for the new year. We want Cornwall original. Me hear you say, they got someone to put. Me don't know if the whole contaminated building one of the work pan too much year now from Queen Victoria breasted. Me say, me watch the man take his last breath in the chair up there. We want whole more action. We want action from the tax office. Me don't know the over the tax office. Remember say from March, the 3rd of March. I second and 3rd of March, we talk about the tax office. We want to go around hospital.
Go look for Cardell and send the video because he's quite right. Every time you call me complaining. Me
they complain with people like a Cardell because me not name Tufton right. And me not have to go up a Cornwall Street, me not have to go up here. So when me call here, so I see people like Cardell. You understand me? I call for people like Cardell.
Go and see him and send me the...
I am definitely going to see him.
On my list. Send me the evidence of it. Thank you.
He's on my list.
I'm going to speak to the DPP. If I don't get to speak to you tomorrow...
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody out there. Especially if you are PNP.
Goodbye. Take care. Comrade. Let me go to a break, listeners. When we come back, we're going to join the Director of Public Prosecutions because we see that she intends, we understand, to make a recommendation to have a starting point for term of imprisonment for murder to be increased from 30 to 40 years, according to media reports. Let's hear her after the break. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you. DPP Paula Llewellyn, King's Counsel. Welcome to the hotline. How are you, DPP?
Good morning, Emily. Good morning to your listeners. How am I?
Yes.
Working too hard, but I got a day off today, and I was just about to step out to go and do my business on the road when I saw your text.
Well, it's good to have you. Thank you for taking the time. Public interest matters. Yeah, I see the report that you have some intentions in relation to recommendation for sentencing for murder.
Yes, and I think they have got it slightly not quite right. What I indicated, and it's coming from the Crazy Heart matter, that's very, very
so this is the one with this
matter,
the student,
the JC 15-year-old, who was so savagely dealt with.
Yes,
in my view, by Kwesi Hart.
Yes.
And I think the Court of Appeal has indicated that the learned sentencing judge used the wrong starting point, which was 40 years instead of 30 years. And they are coming out with a written judgment, hopefully by the end of the year or very early in January. And having met yesterday with the relatives of Kwesi Hart, myself, a senior deputy director, and the deputy director who dealt with the matter in the Court of Appeal. We met with the grandfather.
With Kwesi or the victim?
Kwesi Hart is the accused.
Yes. So who you met with? Relatives of whom?
We met with the relatives of the deceased.
Nicholas Francis.
Boy.
Nicholas, yes. Mm-hmm.
So the grandfather, who had expressed to the cleaner that he had lost faith in the justice system.
Mm-hmm.
We met with he and his wife, and Nicholas's father, and his stepmother.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the meeting lasted nearly 2 hours. We had our file, we had the transcript, we explained the system that at first instance, when you're going to have the plea taken or a trial, we are in constant communication with the relatives of victims. But when you go to the Court of Appeal, and that is when the accused is appealing the sentence as being manifestly excessive, usually that is a matter of strict law.
Yes.
So we don't usually have that sort of communication.
Yes, because I saw the complaint. He said that he was not told. They were not told, yes.
Well, we don't usually. But what we are going to try to do for the future, I now have among my units a Court of Appeal unit. We're going to try and see if my registry staff, in decided matters of high public interest, is to check the original file to see if we have contact information for relatives of the deceased and put that on our Court of Appeal transcript so that Crown Counsel who deals with the matter, if there is a reduction, then we will be able to easily contact them or contact the investigating officer to let them know. But, sometimes the media will pick it up the same day.
Yes.
So it will be difficult, but we will try because, we deal with, in terms of prosecutions and appearing in the Court of Appeal, with hundreds of cases in any given year.
Yeah.
But it was a very good meeting. And in fact, we felt good that at the end of the day, the grandfather said that now he understands and he explained the law.
Yeah.
And it is going into the explanation of the law, focusing on Section 42F of the Criminal Justice Administration Amendment Act. So I don't know which news media that was, but they got it. They didn't get it quite right. What I said is that we at the office of the DPP, coming from this matter in terms of what was said by the court, and it is only reflective of what has been said time and time again, where the sentencing, if one is not careful, is almost formulaic in terms of the almost mathematical
precision
that is being used. But I think what is happening is that the judges are sort of putting themselves almost in a straitjacket so that you are not able, they don't have the latitude to deal with particular matters where the circumstances are so egregious that the interest of justice, in my view, would mandate that the starting point should be somewhat higher in a case of a single murder. If it's a case of a double or a triple murder, by virtue of that, the law and the case precedents allow the judges to start at a greater starting point. But the court took the view that the starting point should not be greater than the deemed period for life imprisonment. Now, Emily, where do you find the deemed period? You find it in Section 42F, which states that where the offense to which a defendant pleads guilty is one for which the court may impose a sentence of life imprisonment, and the court would have imposed that sentence had the defendant been tried and convicted for the offense, then for the purpose of calculating a reduction of sentence in accordance with the provisions of this part, a term of life imprisonment shall be deemed to be a term of 30 years. So this is the indicator that the Court of Appeal have been using to remind first instance judges that the starting point should be 30 years. So when they have that starting point now, and they give credit for the mitigating factors, for example, the use of the offenders, the fact that he got a good social inquiry report or good character evidence, then when they add the aggravating factors and then they subtract in respect of time that the accused may have spent in prison, that is what would cause the great reduction, because they're using the starting point of 30 years. Had the starting point been 40, then because the matter was so egregious, as in this case, which is what would have struck the sentencing judge, then we would have been able to adequately defend the appeal, and the appeal would have been dismissed. Now, in order to get the starting point that the judges use for the calculation to be increased, it would mean that Parliament would have to amend Section 42F of the Criminal Justice Administration Act. The amendment, which it was in 2015, is the amendment which made provision. The Criminal Justice Administration Act has been around for many, many years. But that amendment in 2015 brought in this whole thing about percentages, reductions, and the whole issue about shocking the public conscience. And this particular definition or duration of what life imprisonment for the purposes of the calculation of sentence where the accused has pleaded guilty to be a term of 30 years. So as soon as I get the written judgment, then we will, in fact, I discussed it immediately with my senior deputy, Jeremy, and the Claudette. They were there, and the deputy who is in charge of our Court of Appeal unit. And we all had the consensus. It's something we have been talking about. But I think this case, and given the very definitive way that the position was restated by the Court of Appeal, we have decided to be bold, as we have had been in so many other cases. I speak of the right of appeal for sentence. But we believe that given the state of murder in the country now in 2022, as it has been manifesting itself, right? I remember this provision was made in 2015, that given the types of very heinous murders, even single murders, when I say that, murder of one individual as opposed to multiple persons who are killed, which would automatically be aggravating factors to increase the sentence. We believe that the time has come for Parliament in terms of policy, or perhaps the executive in terms of policy, to move this amendment before Parliament for an amendment to the term of life imprisonment to be deemed to be a term of 40 years as opposed to 30.
Okay.
If that is done, then that now would allow the Court of Appeal and the sentencing judges to use or have the starting point be 40 years. So the amendment, I can't I can't make a recommendation to the judges. This is why the Twitter note that you sent me, it was somewhat imprecise.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of law and protocol, I cannot make a recommendation to the judges. I can make a recommendation to the minister. Because remember, the judges make case law, but they don't make legislation.
Right.
It is Parliament that makes legislation after the executive have formulated the policy.
Yes.
So, as we have done and other entities have done, we believe in the interest of justice. We should attach the judgment of Kwesi Hart with the reasoning of the court so that it's quite clear, and then make a recommendation that in light of the types of heinous cases for murder and single murders that we have been seeing recently, that the public interest would be enhanced by Parliament amending Section 42F.
But can I ask you,
the life imprisonment would be deemed now to be 40 years.
If this deeming provision moves from 30 to 40 in a case where a defendant pleads guilty,
right?
Why would any defendant plead guilty when the starting point is deemed to be 40 years, when those who are tried and convicted for murder, sometimes of a similar kind, they get life with a period for parole being by law 15 years to start in some instance and 20 years to start in the other.
But you see, Emily, it depends on the circumstances. We are not saying that in the majority of circumstances that pleading guilty to murder, life imprisonment, and eligibility for parole not before 25 years, which is the average, 24, 23, 26, may not be appropriate. But there is the odd case where the circumstances so shock the public. It is so traumatizing what was done. Look at the other case. We sent that out recently, where a 7-year-old child was lured by a man who she knew because he used to be her aunt's boyfriend. So he was accustomed to being around in the yard. And it was her niece's ex-girlfriend. And because she rejected him and got another lover, he waylaid the child on her way to school, took her away to his house, took her a school bag, and then threw her into the Rio River, where her body was discovered a couple of days later with one hand severed. Now that is absolutely so egregious that even if he pleads guilty, 25 life imprisonment and 25 years before parole is not enough.
But I want to come back to you. Can I call you back? Because this is so important.
And remember,
we have to go to the headlines, DPP. Please, let me call you back. Let me call you back. Let me call you back.
40 years.
Let me call you back. That's right. Please, let me call you back. It's headlines time. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Very interesting developments and conversation with the Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, King's Counsel, who is expressing an intent to make a recommendation to the executive, that's the cabinet, Minister of National Security, who would have responsibility for bringing to cabinet a recommendation for a change in a sentencing provision in the Criminal Justice Administration Act. And this, the DPP wants, is to move a deeming punishment from 30 to 40 years in circumstances where an accused pleads guilty. Must be to an offense where an accused pleads guilty and an offense for which the court may impose life imprisonment. And if the person was tried in a full trial for that offense, then what the law says is for the purpose of calculating a reduction of the sentence, a term of imprisonment shall be deemed to be a term of 30 years. The DPP wishes to make the recommendation to move it to 40 years because of what she considers a possible injustice that can result, as she says, happens in the case of Nicholas Francis because of the existing law where the deeming term is 30 years. She rejoins me. King's Counsel?
Emily, in fact, looking back on the provision, remember, the sentencing judge has the option not only in giving credit for a plea of guilty, but can also, in a case of murder, if the accused pleads guilty on the first relevant date, you can also get up to 33.33% off. Thereafter, if it is during the trial or after the first relevant date, but before the trial, you can get up to 25%. If it is after the trial has commenced, you can get up to 15%. But what moving the deeming of life imprisonment from 30 to 40 would do is to give the sentencing judge more latitude, where in the odd case, where it is a case where the circumstances are so egregious that you would need to have the starting point being 40. Even if he pleads guilty, then it would give the sentencing judge more of a latitude. Because in the sentencing guidelines, and in fact, I would also say very respectfully that I would not be surprised if in the very near future, given the types of cases that we have been seeing, and given the fact that the sentencing guidelines that the judiciary had prepared and they use, and we use it too, in terms of making our recommendation in a sentencing hearing, that given the fact it's about 5 or 6 years old, I wouldn't be surprised if the judiciary believes that in the public interest, it is time for them to review the sentencing guidelines. Because remember, law is law, and we as lawyers, you and I, are bound by precedent and by the legislation. But you and I, as well as the judiciary, do not exist in a bubble. And we have to pay due regard in our respect for the public interest to answer the clamor of the public who, well, let me say I am a public servant, who I serve, and who technically the judiciary serve, to introspect and to consider to see whether the public interest is being properly served by what is there.
What I'm trying to reconcile, DPP, is this. What is the interplay, if any, between Section 42F of the Criminal Justice Administration Act and, let's say, the various sections, if you recall them, under the Offences Against the Person Act? You have I think it's 2(1)A to F, and you have 3(1)A, 3(1)B, and those stipulate that where a person is convicted for murder, how the person is to be sentenced depending on what type of murder the person has committed, and the statutory minimum in those sections would be either 15 or 20 years, depending on the type of murder. What's the interplay between those two pieces of law?
Well, the thing is, what those provisions are saying, that the judge cannot go below in matters with murder in the course of furtherance of committed another offense, technically.
Yes.
Cannot go below 20. Yeah. And if it is what we would call non-capital murder, then you cannot go below 15.
Before eligibility for parole.
Eligibility for parole. So you can get life imprisonment but you cannot go below those two. But what we are saying is that you do have cases where certainly you would have to go above 20, clearly. But the circumstances, because remember now, each case has to be looked at in its own particular facts. When you have a situation where it would appear that the sentencing exercise is going to possibly confine the judge, bearing in mind that the sentencing guidelines do not prescribe a starting point. The sentencing guidelines, do not prescribe a starting point. It is the...
For murder?
For murder, it does not. There's a range.
Yes.
There's a range, but it does not have a starting point. It is the evolution of the sentencing, what should I say, the law on sentencing, coming from Misha Clement, going right up, right? Where the Court of Appeal has sought to use, it gives the guidance to the sentencing judges to say, well, you cannot have a starting point when you are doing your calculation, which would be greater than the deemed period for life. The deemed period for life. So, irrespective of whether you cannot go below 20, life imprisonment, eligibility for parole, you can't go below 20, or 15, depending on the type of murder that it is.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is that the starting point would be the same in both.
Okay.
When you are deciding how to compute the eligibility for parole.
Let me take a quick break. DPP Paula Llewellyn, stay with us, please. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Back with the Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, a very, very topical matter, sentencing, and particularly the desire, the wish, the intention to make a recommendation to increase the deeming period for the purposes of life when somebody pleads guilty for murder.
For the purpose of the calculation.
For the purposes of the
reduction.
calculation under Section 42F of the Criminal Justice Administration
Amendment Act.
The intention is to move it, make a referral for it to be moved from 30 to 40 years.
Okay. Can I just illustrate?
Yeah.
I did a case in the Court of Appeal, I think last year, where an accused man went through a trial for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, where what he did, he was convicted. What he did, his girlfriend spurned him. He went to her house and went into her bedroom. She had another gentleman there along with her sister. They had a little quarrel and she asked him to leave. He went away, got some gasoline in a bottle, and he went back on her veranda. When she and her sister came back out, she told him, "Didn't I say to you to leave my premises?" He threw the gasoline on her, lit her afire with his lighter, and then ran off. She died a slow and agonizing death. He did not plead guilty. Remember Section 42F.
Yes, speaks only to a plea of guilty.
Right? He got life imprisonment. He went to trial. So when you go to trial, what it is showing is that you have no regret, no remorse.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, he pleaded not guilty.
Yes.
And he was convicted.
And he may have expressed remorse during the context of the trial, perhaps.
Not at all. He did not.
Okay.
And the sister, luckily, was alive to tell the tale. He was given life imprisonment, and he was not eligible for parole before serving 40 years. Now, when
that's under Section 3 of the Offences Against the Person Act. He was sentenced.
And this is after getting credit for being in custody, he was still given eligibility for parole not. for 40 years. Now, when we looked at the precedents, other cases that the Court of Appeal had decided on, they had gone to trial, you hardly had any that had allowed 40 years. But we were able to successfully argue that the aggravating circumstances were so egregious that the judge's starting point, which was more than 30, would have been appropriate.
Yeah,
but remember, under the sentencing guidelines, they don't have a starting point. He wasn't pleading guilty, so the judge was not bound by 42F.
Yes,
now,
right.
I'm here to tell you,
yes,
had he pleaded guilty,
yes,
then he would have got life imprisonment. And because the starting point was 30, then he would have probably come out with about 24, 25 years before parole.
Yes.
Now, the relatives of the deceased would have been saying that cannot be justice. Because you do have the odd case that, just like the cocoa peas matter, you cannot equate. Some cases are just so egregious. It is so terrible. It was so awful. It was so shocking what was done. That pleading guilty, it is quite clear that pleading guilty, there's still no remorse. It's just a, you say you're pleading guilty.
But a guilty plea,
you can get a blind.
No, a guilty plea in law is an expression of remorse, though, DPP.
Yes, but guess what? If we were to follow that, then it would mean, by that definition, that the Rushane Barrett, who pleaded guilty to killing his cousin and 4 children, because he pleaded guilty on each count and he showed remorse, then giving him life imprisonment and perhaps 25 years to run concurrently would have been okay because he showed remorse. It doesn't go like that. The public interest would have demanded that a sentence, an appropriate sentence, would have had to go over 60 years before eligibility for parole.
But it seems to me then that there is a sort of disconnect, perhaps, again, between Section 42F, which speaks to a plea of guilty for a crime for which life imprisonment can be imposed, and the various sections of the Offences Against the Person Act, which intend a full trial, but under which there's a stipulation for statutory minimum to be between 15 to 30 years. And if we don't reconcile those issues, then we are going to have discrepancies coming up, certainly with victims of families.
We have a Minister of Legal Affairs and we have a Minister of Justice and we have a Legal Reform Department and we have the parliamentary the persons who draft the laws.
Yeah.
So it will be for them to do the necessary research, and because you don't amend a section in vacuum.
No.
They would have to look at the whole scheme of the Criminal Justice Administration Act to make sure that there will be no anomaly.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, that if you look at law over the ages, law is not made to be an end in itself. It is supposed to be there, certainly the criminal law, to keep pace with what is happening in the society.
Really?
Which is why we now have anti-gang legislation.
Yes.
And we have had an amendment to the Firearms Act. And I guess I'm speaking as a humble prosecutor. I guess for the defense, if one is going to take the interest of the defense to a logical conclusion where your priority is the interest of your accused, then perhaps we would not have had the evolution of any law. Right?
The defense is not as bad as you make us out to be, DPP. And we are ministers of justice just as prosecutors.
No. You're not a minister of justice in the way that we are.
Because
sometimes, on occasion, if we have material that will assist the defense, we are mandated to to disclose it.
Yes.
If we go to the Court of Appeal as prosecutors, and it is quite clear on the law that the conviction, because of the misdirection in law, cannot be upheld, then we are duty bound to indicate to the court, even on occasion, and that's happened many times, where the accused attorney doesn't see it or is not aware of it. We are mandated to indicate to the court that we cannot sustain the conviction.
But our duty is not to guide the court on bad law either. So if we find that there is a misdirection and the law leads us or if we find that there is something that's going to go against the client, we'll have to say that this is the law, but I'm urging the court in this direction for a particular reason. That's how I think we argue cases.
Yes, but I look forward to seeing that being done presently as a general modus operandi by the defense, but I haven't seen it yet. But we have to keep up a particular standard to make sure that as ministers of justice, we operate in the public interest of not only the victim, but also the accused.
But it's interesting that you say that the law has to keep up, because even recently when the Prime Minister mouthed the intention of taking legislation to Parliament to increase minimum sentence for murder, for example, to 30 years, there were some views expressed on it.
Defense. And the thing about, from the defense, but the thing is, no prosecutor was asked, right? But those views that were canvassed by the media came from the defense.
What does the prosecutor think?
And what has happened is that the Prime Minister, who is not an attorney, may have not had the benefit of perhaps an exposition on this particular area. I believe in terms of what he wants to do as a matter of policy, that perhaps when the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Legal Affairs look at our recommendation, they may see that the policy imperative in terms of answering the clamor of the public as it relates to the heinousness of murders and the amount of murders that are being seen, that perhaps the amendment to Section 42F is a simple cure to answering the policy imperative that he sees or that he is seeking to answer in terms of the public clamor.
But you wanted to move from 30 to 40, which is even 10 more years than he anticipates.
Yes. So what it would do, it would remember, sentencing always has to be contextualized by the circumstances of the particular case. Each case is different, but what we'll be seeking to do is to give the judiciary the latitude. So, for example, perhaps in 85% of the cases, if somebody pleads guilty, they would still get, the judge can choose. The judge can choose, to have a starting point less than the 40. It's not cast in stone, because remember the sentencing guidelines.
No, I thought the deeming.
But what has happened is that the judge cannot go above 30. The judge can use a starting point, which is below 30, but cannot go above 30. So what we are saying, it would give the judge more latitude in the odd case where what the accused did. In other words, you have, the fact that Rashid Barrett in the Coca Peace case pleaded guilty to anybody, and I think I dare say to defense counsel as well, to any member of the public, it is the one case that even if he pleaded guilty, no amount of plea of guilty could convey regret or remorse that would be sufficient.
Let me take a quick break again and come back with you. Hold on, please. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline, talking with the Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, King's Counsel. This following a reduction in the sentence of murderer Kwesi Hart. This is for the murder of 14-year-old Nicholas Francis. That is the young JC student who was killed some years ago, and what is causing now, it's perhaps we can call this the Nicholas Francis recommendation when it does come, because of what the DPP intends, because I think something good has to come out of this young man's life.
It was a particularly egregious. It was a knife murder, but
Yes.
it was particularly egregious because here it is. He had his little watch on his hand. He's coming from school or going to school, and the accused dragged it. He got it, and the bus conductor took the little boy out of harm's way and sent him to the back of the bus. Yet, the accused, literally, when the child was trying to retrieve his bag, because somebody threw his bag outside, and he was speaking when somebody outside said, whose bag is this? He was just going to go retrieve his bag. And the accused challenged him again.
Mm-hmm.
The little boy tried to defend himself, and he stabbed him once, and then stabbed him in the heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. You say you are a defense counsel, so you don't know what we as prosecutors, when we interface with some of the relatives of the victim, if we are not careful, given what we have to face and what we do, we are at risk of getting post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
And you couldn't imagine in terms of explaining the law. At one stage, I had to say to them when they looked at me, it is about Miss Llewellyn. I said, some people believe the law is an ass. That the law is an ass. But guess what? We are shackled by the law. And the judges also are shackled by the law.
Mm-hmm.
I said to them that it's only Parliament that could amend Section 42F to move the deeming of the term of life imprisonment to 40 years, which would give a judge in the odd case, for example, Emily, suppose you had a murder case where a woman was sacrificed in the name of Obia and tortured to death. It would still be murder, it's non-capital murder.
Mm-hmm.
You are telling me that because he comes to plead guilty, because he knows that if the matter goes to trial, he might get 40 or 40 years before being eligible for parole, that because he pleads guilty now, that he must benefit from the fact that the starting point is going to be 30, so he comes out just like somebody with a knife murder after what he has done with 23, 24 years before being eligible for parole? Huh? How would the community, how would the relatives, how would the community understand the justice system? Would that be justice? So I'm saying in a case like that where it is so egregious, so shocking and traumatizing to the public, that the judge must have the latitude to, because the starting point is 40, at the end of the calculation, it takes it perhaps up to 30, 31 years before being eligible for parole, even if he pleads guilty, because there are some cases, there is the odd case, just like the Rushane Barrett. And I'm saying this as an attorney, and I'd hope that, I think defense counsel would agree, that the circumstances are so egregious that him saying I'm guilty is just a situation of mouth make the talk. Right? But the public interest in terms of the credibility of the justice system must be able to see that there is teeth in the law, and that somebody who does something that is so egregious, the fact that you just can come and say I'm guilty, should not allow you to escape the full sanction of the criminal law.
Let me ask you, I've heard Peter Bunting make this point time and time again in the processes of proposals to whether to change the sentencing for firearm offenses, or even now in the discussions in the amendments to the bail bill that's going through joint select, that the research has shown that is not the draconian punishment itself that deters unapprehended criminals from committing crimes, in particular murder, but is the prospect of being caught How you respond to that in light of your proposal for heavier sentence?
Something. You know the problem that politicians have? They are not prosecutors, they are not judges, they are not police officers. And very often, they will have tunnel vision because they are not practitioners. He may say that, and on the one hand, that is a part of the consideration. But you cannot ignore the effect on the community where the same person is running through the community with their gun crimes. The criminal law architecture and how it affects people. One cannot only look at the accused, which is what defense counsel who populate parliament tend to do. You have to look at the public interest and the effect on the community and the belief of the community in the credibility of the justice system. Because if they don't believe that the justice system is credible, then they will turn to other means and jungle justice will become very popular. Now, when the police and I looked at the Roshane Barrett matter, and as I said, the police and the prosecutors are the persons in the trenches on the ground. Both Deputy Commissioner Bailey, the head of MID, Superintendent Thomas, and I and my team recognize that given the psychological trauma to the psyche of the country with this matter, this is a matter that we had to show that the justice system not only had teeth, but had the capability in a matter that shocked the public conscience in such a way to move quickly to bring closure. Now, the average politician, because they are not practitioners, would not have that breadth of being able to see all the nuances of the particular factors and the person and the public interest that will be affected. So I forgive politicians when they come with tunnel visions because they are not practitioners. They would be looking at their constituent members as persons, yes, a victim of crime, but they are not prosecutors and they are not judges. They don't know the law. Right? So they don't have to go into the trenches and the conscience of the law to know what it takes to put a case together. Sometimes I hear some of the arguments coming out of Parliament and I shake my head. We are in the trenches, so we knew we had to move with dispatch. And the community also, they realize this is not a time that they can be willfully blind and look the other way to accommodate criminality. They had to move, and what they knew, they immediately told and assisted the police and the community also in Trelawney. So within 2 days, we had him. And I can tell you, over my dinner, I was in Westmoreland, I'm talking to the police. Before I got to my bed, I'm talking to the police. This is what I'm going to my bed with as the EPP.
Isn't it?
Right?
Yes.
So I'm very passionate about the public interest.
Yes.
It is important to understand that with the greatest of respect to the politicians, they are not practitioners. So I can understand when I saw the other day the Prime Minister seeking to answer the public clamor in respect of showing that the system has teeth. But he's not a prosecutor. And nobody asks the prosecutors. But looking at the Crazy Heart matter, I recognize that in my, dare I say, humble way, given the fact that, yes, I know I have a reputation to be bold, but it is to be bold in the public interest. And I've had to do that in the past. And to have the courage, I immediately, had discussions with members of my team, Jeremy Taylor, Casey, Claudette Thompson, Kimberly, Del Williams. And we knew that the time is now right. This will be the most recent judgment on the point, and the time is right. And perhaps when the Minister of Legal Affairs and the Minister of Justice look at it along with their team, legal reform, parliamentary, the drafters, perhaps the policy imperative that the Prime Minister was trying to put forward may be well served by a simple amendment to Section 42F of the Criminal Justice Administration Act to move the deeming of life imprisonment to 40 years. Because remember, again I say, it would still give the judges latitude to go have the starting point below 40 years, but they can't go above it. So the latitude would still be there.
Yeah.
To benefit counsel for the defense, who has instructions, and the prosecution, who has instructions, to caucus and come to plea negotiations, make recommendations of a range, using and suggesting a starting point that is below the 40, that would still suit the justice of the particular circumstances of the particular case.
We have to talk again, DPP.
All right.
Thank
I hope
you.
when you go on, I'm not on social media, but please amend on Twitter what it is that I actually said. It is an amendment to Section 42F.
Happy
of
holidays.
the Criminal Justice Administration
Happy
Act.
holidays. I will
and
see
you being
what
an attorney, you will be able to properly explain.
I'll see.
Happy holidays.
Thank you
to
so
and
much.
all the very best for the new year.
Thank you to you and your family and also the staff at the office there.
To the public who we both serve.
Thank you, DPP. All the best to you.
Welcome.
Paula Llewellyn, King's Counsel. When we come back, time for Money Talk. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. So, Xavier Francis, I trust you heard that discussion with the DPP. And I think the DPP said you were in on a very long meeting yesterday as well. So, I think Nicholas Francis's just tragic murder, awful murder, may lead to some change if the DPP has her way with the recommendation. We're back with you. Let's see if we can take a call before we go to X and Y. 926-7615. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Shields. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. And you?
Cuba, I enjoy a little blessing now. Cuban here. Yeah, may I ask the Jamaican people to make sure them fall in a coop here?
Them fall in a coop?
Make sure them put them fall in a coop.
Why?
And when the fall up play, people dead, you know.
When fall up play?
Yeah. You know, you would time them say, man dead and foul play suspected.
Oh.
You then cook up the foul.
Yes.
Less people dead, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's what you say.
Anyway, the main reason I call him a sheet is that there need to be some improvement in the health system with regard to information flowing from one health facility to another.
That's what they're doing now? You don't hear the minister talk to me about it?
No, I didn't hear that.
The minister has been on this program, and one of the beauties of the thing he said, they're having, what do they call the system now? Where there'll be a joining up of all public health facilities. So if you go up hospital at Clarendon and you get treatment and you go to Kingston can pull up on the system which is going to be integrated, the history of whatever treatment you get in Clarendon.
Okay.
So they're not starting from scratch. Same thing with the health centers. Everything is going to be, what does he call it again? Fascinating system. He spoke about it in the parliament too.
Yesterday, I was discharged from TPH
Mm-hmm.
in October and got a referral letter to the Stone Hill Health Center. That's the nearest one to me. And when I went there yesterday, the doctors asking me some questions that I just didn't remember some of those things. And I asked him if can't he get the medical record from TPH. And he was a young doctor, so I asked him if he could not consult with his senior and get the record.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that no, that system is not in place and they can't do that and whatever. And I was thinking that is strange because with technology now, one should be able to readily get your record, or I suggested to him that if that is not in place, what should have happened is when they are discharging a patient and referring them to an health facility, another health facility, they should the letter, the referral should also have in place on it, with it, along with it, or on it, the important medical records. So the doctor you're going to wouldn't have to be trying to figure out what was going on or what went on.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing now. I'm trying to remember the name of the entire system. Yeah, I actually said it's an absolutely commendable system, and I hope it gets off, as well as possible. I think the private doctors won't immediately be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so their records wouldn't upload, but yes, the public health system.
Because what happened when I go to a public facility and I have to do some tests, and when I get the test result, I would take a copy of it to my family doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have it on my file.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wait with patient breath for such a system to be in place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's an integrated healthcare system, and that's coming. Good. Yeah, but thank you, Cuban. We're gonna go to a break now. Thank you. Stay with us.
Tell me where you get the money transfer. Alliance. Your Christmas money transfer. Alliance.
Money when and where you need it this Christmas. Alliance MoneyGram Money Transfer. The time by Alliance is
12:30.
Whether it's a Saturday soup or a comfort meal, a great soup stash to make you feel complete. Spice up your pot at home, or you can link soup before soup on the go. Chicken noodle, pumpkin and cock noodle make you feel better. Taste tradition in a spoonful. Great soup make every day greater. One sip me last in the flavor. Great soup make every day greater. One sip me last in the flavor.
Grace, celebrating 100 years of taste that moves you.
You're now listening to Emily Shields Talk with Substance on Hotline. Radio Jamaica, active for the good of our nation.
Time now for X and Y.
In December. The end of month. There's a new way to say the month of the year. You did get it the other day?
No.
You didn't hear it?
Mm-mm.
How you normally say it. So the first 6 months of the year.
January, February, March.
No, sing it like when you're in primary school.
That's what I'm saying.
No, you never did sound like that.
January, February, March, April, May, June.
All right, hold on. Hear the new way.
New way for ball forward, man.
New way for ball forward.
Yeah.
January, February cannot march. But April, May.
Oh.
Say it like that. January, February cannot march. But April, May.
Yeah.
I knew where that.
That's it?
Uh-huh. That Paula give me.
Paula, we buy some rounds, you know. Paula, stay with the birds. You are for the birds.
But interesting.
We don't want that.
That was what Derek told her.
Is it? Brilliant there. No, you are for the birds, Paula.
No. It's just a new way and I like it.
How can you like it?
I like January, February cannot match.
April, May.
But
April, May. Oh, Jesus. No, we have to get some strong back tonic wine, as Cordell reminds me.
Oh, it was, yeah, Cordell, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Somebody also brought it to my attention yesterday that John Krogan Digital. So that's an interesting one. John Krogan Digital. Mm-hmm. And here was what his reason was. Mm-hmm. You don't really see John Crow pitch on like coconut tree top anymore. You see them in the morning, usually on the towers, like the cell towers.
Mm-hmm.
And they hold out their wing to pick up the signal.
What? That's what they're doing. Oh, God.
So in this digital age,
5G.
No, that'll look like about 5 multiplied by
Jump
2.
5G, 10G. A drunk on him JQ.
And a JB again.
JQ. Wow.
No, another thing that I just saw a while ago.
Wait, before you tell me, you go burn a boy? You know, go burn?
You want me burn up?
Means a burner boy still off.
Oh, it's not Burma, it's Burma though.
A Burma?
Yes.
A Burma name?
I think so.
No, son, a Burma.
It's not Burma. Okay, so it's Burma boy.
What? Burner. Yeah, man, a burner. A burner.
In my bun.
Me say him hot.
Well, everybody's talking about it. And me see video with you.
A burner boy?
Yeah, center stage.
That used to be a club, you know. And that used to be a club for ladies of the night.
You mean center stage?
Yeah, or is that a place that they do plays?
It's a place that where they play.
Oh.
But what kind of play? All kinds of play.
It's all kinds of play.
Yes. So what you want to tell me about Burma?
No,
it's
Burma,
yeah.
No, me have to learn about him. And Popcorn.
Wagwan Popcorn.
Popcorn and Tony and sing the new song. It a go on with itself, you know.
But she displayed her talent from the get go. That's Tony Ann. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah. She. I think she did very well at the Miss World in the talent section. So she that was with her from day one, it seems.
It's beautiful. I like it.
So you were really at center stage?
No, sir. I catch up now.
Oh, corner stage? Okay.
Stage left.
Left stage.
I catch up with it, because I don't even know much about Burna Boy except one song. But I think did I ask Miss Lucy about it last week, perhaps?
But I heard you talking to Miss Lucy about Burna Boy as if you were so familiar with all of his music.
No, not at all. Me just think about the Afrobeat, them nice, you know?
Yes.
Afrobeat take over.
Only that in a number of cases I'm not able to decipher what they're saying.
But that's how a lot of people feel about dancehall. You know, hear the calypso and say raga 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 raga. That's what they hear.
No, I say, no, red plastic bag, I think him disrespectful. You want to talk about that raga.
But that's like you with the Afrobeat. All you hear is Shallow. What else are you hearing? That was brilliant. Anyway, you were telling me the other thing.
The envelope I saw a while ago.
So Paula is going to buy, she has to buy rounds for the entire year. And Tony agrees.
Which Tony?
That January, February, not March.
No. Can't March.
That is just lame for the entire year, right, Tony?
So, but there was an additional one, what you call an American bees.
All right, and Tony tells me that it's, Lord, what is wrong with me? It's not center stage. He's telling me it's center pole. All I know, some center was going on there. And I should remember it, because...
Why should you?
Because Beanie Man sings about it.
All right.
Yeah. About center pole.
I just, you really got me wondering there, right?
No, I'm Stella. Stella gets her groove. Center pole, not center stage. Out of mercy.
All right, so the envelope I want to tell you about now, I don't know if you remember them. The airmail envelope.
Yes.
With the blue and red along the edge, right around the edge.
For post things go foreign.
Yes, and I think they used to send those from foreign as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to the post office now, and especially at this time of year, people used to line up a post office, and postal agency, to ensure that if any mail come, them collect it in time before Christmas, because there was no Western Union or any other money transfer, MoneyGram and what have you. So money used to come in them envelope there. Them used to write them letters and wrap the money them properly so that you can hold up the envelope and see the money, because people used to sort of try that, but they would wrap it in different layers of paper to ensure that it is properly secure. But if the envelope was a little bit too heavy, people would have suspect some money in there as well. But the line was very long. Used to be very long at post office them time of year. People are trying to get them little money in them airmail envelope. And if you go post office and you get a letter and it wasn't a airmail, what you think?
Nah, collect.
It dropped down.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go post office, go call, You remember?
Yeah.
You have to go call.
Well,
that's what you do. You call for your mail.
It was. You call a post office.
Yeah, that's what we do. We literally call. That's what they say.
Not that you call out when you go there, but they would ask you if you did call a post office this afternoon.
No, but the act of going to the post office to request the mail, what they said in my country, you literally go call for the mail. Because when you go there, if the post mistress doesn't know you, then you have to say your name, and then she would look in the cubicle with the letter that starts your surname.
So they refer to the process.
The process of asking for, do you have any mails for Emily Crooks at the time?
Okay, yes.
They would say, and she would go in. That's calling. You never hear that term?
No, they would ask us if you did call, and it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So if you didn't get the airmail,
your head got drop down and your face long down, because you're not likely to get any money in the local letters. And especially at this time, you want money from overseas if you did have anybody over there anyway. If you know, say, no, nobody are foreign, but I go to post office.
No.
But there are other ways that people used to, youngsters generally used to get money at this time, and everybody used to want them little money. So apart from the piggy bank, because that was, as a piggy they may call it now.
Yes, it's piggy bank.
For piggy bank, them used to have like some Camden scan, and
yes,
you drop your little 1 cent and.
Yes, we still use Camden scan. It's true.
And so you would have that where you save up, and I was reminded of the buckle that people used to save the other day. You would have pack up your buckle them in a corner, you would have hunt buckle. And you wash them good and proper. Sometimes them don't wash so proper. When you carry them, go sell them, say, boy, I'm not take that one there.
But do you know I still take my bottles in myself? And absolutely don't want anybody to take it in. Because the money when me get from carrying my bottle, you know what me do with it? Me buy Devon House ice cream every single time.
No, but I know some them used to do it.
What them do?
Them used to save them back and buy soda.
Yeah, but me no want the soda. I have Devon House ice cream me buy with it every single time. Me carry my buckle them.
So which one of the evil is better?
Well, none is.
Evil are evil.
Everything in moderation. Don't overkill Devon House. I actually think Devon House is the best ice cream in the world. And so I just always have to have it. Not necessarily for me, but for the house. So, yeah. Some people go pick up them buckle and carry in and get them. That time about 25 cents for one buckle, aren't you?
No, man. No, so I think it might have been, doubt it was even 1 cent for the buckle. Maybe a two was was for 1 cent. But what they used to do, they would sort of collect the crates. And in those days, it was this wooden thing. Yeah.
Wooden crate?
Yes, wooden crate for the soda, man. Yes.
I don't remember that.
It was wooden. Remember, it was glass bottles, you know. There were no plastic then.
No.
So they had this solid wood that they used to make the crates. And, of course, you try to pack 24. It was 24.
Yeah.
And you try to find 24 and make sure so you have a few crates. And perhaps, I think you might have been able to get a soda if you have about 4 or 6 crates. A buckle.
One whole crate of soda?
Yeah.
Oh.
Perhaps it's a little more. But, yeah, that's how you used to do it. So you save up a number of crates of bottles. And then
fancy that. What was your favorite flavor? Soda?
Me did like Pepsi.
Yeah? So you stay. Cream soda to me thing. Mr. President, I see you telling me it's Center Pole. How do you know it's Center Pole, Mr. President? Mr. President knows himself. Not 45th. That's X and Y. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. You perhaps heard me pause a little bit during X and Y. And that's because I've had word that the CEO of one of our credit unions passed away this morning. I'm just trying to make contact with a representative of the credit union just to get a little bit more before releasing the name. But it's somebody I've spoken to quite a few times on the telephone and absolutely shocked by it. In fact, only this morning I checked for his number. So we'll soon come back to that. What a time. That's what I don't like about this whole period, you see, because we've lost so many people over COVID. During the COVID period, between COVID and murders, there's a way in which death has sort of been normalized for us. Or we're so used to hearing that we just kind of just move on, and I don't like that. But what to do? 9262178. Hello?
Good morning. Good afternoon.
And to you, sir?
Yeah, is this Social Security?
And justice.
Justice?
This is the hotline, sir. This is Social Security and Justice. What do you wish to have here?
Okay, Mr. Have a great day. I really want to find the number for the St. Mary's Social Security office. And finding you.
Then how you end up call here? Hold on a second. Let me see if we can find it for you. What is your name?
Simon Edwards, man.
Simon Edwards. Hold on. What you want? St. Mary's Social Security?
Yeah. I'll tell you a number.
Who is... What's your... Who is... Eh?
Simon Serena Edwards, that's my name. You know me quite well, man, ex-police officer.
Then why are you giving out the whole of your government name? Social Security Department? In St. Mary?
Yes, in Port Maria.
In Port Maria. Let's see what I can find. You have a pen there?
Yes, my dear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll come dear me up.
No, you were so nice in the days when I always be around.
Oh.
And you continue doing a great work as usual.
Yes, let's see this. Ministry. That's the Ministry of Labor. That would help, yeah?
Yes, my dear.
Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Where is the number that is coming up for that? There's a number here, 994-2314. Try that and see what you get. 994-2314.
994-2314.
And see where they put you on to.
All right, then. I will check on that.
Please don't call here to order patty next time, because I think that is where it's going to go, since you called to find out if this is the Social Security office in St. Mary. Have a good day. Merry Christmas to you.
Same to you. You will see me sometime, because I will come to Aja one day to stay with you people, you know.
Well, let's hope I'm here.
You will be there, because I won't come except you are there.
Is tomorrow my last day for the rest of the year?
I wouldn't be making that trip until sometime in the new year.
Well, let's hope so. All the best to you.
I'm coming.
All right, take care. 7615, hello?
Hello?
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, this is the hotline. Who is this?
My name is Owen.
Welcome, Owen.
How is it? Mrs. Shields, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Is there a particular subject you're dealing with at this time?
No. If it's important to you, then we'll talk about it.
Well, I was just calling to comment on the Director of Public Prosecution.
Yes.
I think one of our problems, Ms. Shields, is that we in Jamaica don't follow history very well. Because some folks, especially Mrs. DPP, she's of a mentality where it's all about punishment before anything else. At one time, we used to say in Jamaica that prison is for rehabilitation. But everybody has lost the sight that after a while, people eventually will come to the street, even if you send a man away 40 years.
No, I don't think we've lost sight of that. In fact, the other day I've been to Tower Street for their Christmas program. I go to St. Catherine District Prison. I happen to have clients there. And last week I was at South Camp Rehabilitation Center for the Women. And the focus in those institutions, the focus for the most part, is on rehabilitation, in recognition of what you're saying, that the people in the prisons are going to be coming out into society at some point in time. But what the DPP was talking about, what period of time they, having been judged to have done heinous crimes such as murder, what period of time should they be locked away and to undergo the process of rehabilitation before they can come back out here?
Yeah.
That's what she's talking about.
Yeah, I understand that, but there's another thing where they believe that mandatory minimum sentences are what is necessary to solve our crime problem.
No, not necessarily. I don't think that is the belief. But I think what it is, Owen, and a lot of us don't recognize it, Parliament has a role. What is happening in your background there?
Oh, the car just started.
Oh, the car started itself?
No, I just started it.
Oh, but say that?
I stopped somewhere and the person I could drive up, and I thought I was supposed to park where I was.
Okay. Yes, park good and talk to me. Talk. Yes. Yeah. So the point is, Owen, we must accept, we have never really accepted it, that Parliament has a fundamental role based on the Constitution, which is to make laws for good government. And one of the laws that we make, what the parliamentarians make, is law related to crimes and law relating to sentence to be imposed. And the judges retain the discretion within a particular context to interpret what it is the law the parliamentarians have made and impose those sentences. Yeah? When you think of a country like Jamaica, as the DPP said, with a murder rate that we have, nothing is wrong with Parliament prescribing a mandatory minimum sentence that somebody needs to serve before they're eligible for parole in a situation like murder. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
But then again, not on the murder, but it seems as if they are trying to take the power of the judges away when it comes to discretion.
No, I don't think they are at all. I don't think they are. And if they were trying to take that power away, then the very court itself would rule that what they're trying to do is unconstitutional. But there are several cases that show that mandatory minimum sentences set by Parliament, that those sentences are not unconstitutional. So the judges retain a discretion, but the court, what the Parliament has done is to sort of circumscribe or to say, this is a line below which you mustn't go in the sentence. And nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, okay.
It's a rough time.
But is the water fountain in the background.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Talk soon, Owen.
Yeah,
all right. DT, we're going to party tomorrow. Let's just remind the listeners that come tomorrow, we do have some care packages that we're going to give away, and we expect to see some of you in the yard of Radio Jamaica tomorrow. It's going to be on a first-come, first-served basis, but we trust that overnight our baskets will be made fuller than it actually is, so that yours can be filled come tomorrow. So we do hope to have a good time with you, as we did I think it was last year. Yeah. So come out tomorrow. If I do get a cooktop, then I'd be happy to cook something for you. If not, until such time, then yeah. And guess what? I'm expecting to have my two handsome men on my side. Yeah. Clive Mullings and Dr. Orville Taylor. I'm expecting to have them, since every day I only have my bald head, handsome man, Shinehead, DT. They have him on other days, but we do look forward to having your company tomorrow. And really, thank you. Thank you ever so much for just a great year, great listening public that you are. Great feedback that you give us in the streets when you do see us, and the messages you send to us. We really do thank you. So I think perhaps we should bless you up some way. What you have to bless up the people before we do have a couple minutes. Let me just take another call until DT finds something to bless the people. 8631, hello.
Hi, morning. How are you doing?
Afternoon. Hi. Who is this?
This is Junior, but depending on what time you wake up, you know, that is, or you know what to say.
Junior Crooks? Junior Crooks in charge again. Welcome. I've got to go from you though, you know.
Huh?
I'm out of time for the program today.
So anyway, well, basically, yeah, I wouldn't have enough time to go into anything, but wishing you all the best for the don't anymore family, you know, all the best for the Christmas and the season in general. You know?
Blessings. Hope to talk with you tomorrow. I'm going to be out in the yard with a number of people who can make it here. All right?
Let's see if I pass by. Okay.
All right. I'd love to meet my namesake. Thank you.
Take care. Good.
Take care. Turn it up, DJ.
If you stand up for those.
Absolute condolences to the family of this credit union. It's just shocking, the things that are going on. But I haven't been able to reach anybody, so I won't say anything more, and I'll more details on that tomorrow. Thank you to Kimberly Wright Broderick. Thank you to the Wine, my X and Y Shinehead. Daniel Thompson, come with us in the yard tomorrow. We look forward to making your Christmas happy for 2022. Take care. I'm Emily Shields.